Hey everybody, what's up? We are here with a timeless reading. Welcome. The first card that we have out is Nine of Swords, and we have the Devil. Okay, with the Devil there, it can be something like quite heavy that you are facing. Nine of Swords can be this feeling of sort of wanting to do like anything else than to deal with this right now. And I'm seeing Temperance and I'm seeing Three of Swords, so I definitely say that there's an initiation right now that's connected with a process of healing that you are going through. But it can feel like maybe the most intense parts of that. What this means too is that once you have worked through the tethers that the devil has on you, there will really be an alleviation there. So this isn't something that is going to be like sticking with you always and forever. This is one of those things where it can feel like maybe nearly impossible to work through. It can feel extremely intense. It's going to feel like quite out of balance even. And then you work through it, and then that hold that it has on you is like not nearly so intense anymore. It's something that can actually become extinct, meaning it's like a fire that goes out, can be the feeling. So this is being worked through currently. Even though you can be going through a hard time right now, and even though this can be something that feels really difficult emotionally, psychologically, I'm seeing Seven of Wands below it, which means needing to sort of stand firm within this, even though you can feel like something very intimidating is at your door right now, is something very intense. It can be something that feels really difficult to be in a place that feels connected with your power. It requires you to be in a place that is totally connected and centered within your power. And so this is an opportunity for you to really collect yourself in that way. It can also feel very difficult. This is also going to help you find yourself, rather than be a slave to this situation, this type of energy. Maybe even to not be seduced by it, to not give your power away. Okay, so right now I'm seeing you be in a process where you're sort of, I'm hearing uncomplicating. It's basically like the devil is something that your energy was tied up within, and right now I'm seeing you like unknotting all of those pieces. It's like when your hair gets caught in like a piece of gum or something like that, you know? Or for those of you that you don't have long hair, that's never happened, just imagine what that would be like. I feel like the devil is a piece of gum where it's like so many different ways that you can approach this. You can cut all of the hair off. You can spend time like going piece by piece to pull it out. It's like, how much damage do you want to go through? How much of a space do you want to be left there? There can even be this feeling of like maybe not wanting to have to deal with it at all. And I even feel like this is just like a knot in and of itself. So what's going to happen is that like slowly but surely, generally for the most part, there's going to be this like detangling process that's happening. And I feel like kind of a slow crawl to do this, but you know that it'll be worth it, because then this isn't going to be stuck within your energy anymore. And so this is happening, but it can feel difficult not to sort of go back into it, just because like that energy of the devil really can, in a way, I feel like I should have thought of a better metaphor here for the devil. In a way, the way that the devil works is that it can have us not experience unpleasant things that we would otherwise be facing. And so it can feel very tempting to go back into it just to feel let down again, just to feel dissatisfied again. But the temptation of potential here is something that can pull you back in possibly until you get to the point where you're like, I'm not going to do this anymore. Even though the potential is there, it's like the same thing every time. And I don't want to do that to myself anymore. I don't want to be part of this roller coaster. I feel like I'm just like believing in something that doesn't really exist, and I don't want to do that to myself anymore. And I know that I'm going to have to face the pain if I move through this. Yet once I'm through, I'm out of that and I don't have to deal with it anymore. And you can know that that's the only way to actually be rid of this situation, is to complete this cycle. So even though it can feel like a difficult thing to do, you can feel like if you want to feel truly empowered, this is what's necessary for you. Because this other thing, whatever the devil is, in a way, like it can definitely be fueling you. But then there's that dependency created because that fuel is external rather than what is internally available. So this is connecting with that internal again, that internal fuel source. Take your time with this. It doesn't need to be immediate. It doesn't need to be all at once. Having Temperance above Eight of Cups shows this being more of a transition than anything, as you are as you are separating those pieces. So it's going to take time to do that. It's going to take time to move through that. And you can also have this thing, it's like the more attached, the more connected, the more difficult it can be to think clearly. So as you're sort of doing this separation, the more clear-headed you're becoming, and it can feel painful immediately, and then that's going to be processed through, and then that's going to be healed. So this also feels like it's putting off that from happening. So you going through this process is also going through a healing process too. The devil is going to be something that puts off the feeling of something difficult that must be gone through if we want to get to the other side, which is going to be where we do want to be, where we'll feel happy to be. I think, and to not get pulled back into this, to like actually follow through. Having Queen of Wands here, this is something that can really test your energy, your self-expression, your determination, all of the fire parts of you, the parts of you that are motivated, the parts of you that are willing to face something that feels challenging and difficult, willing to learn from this, willing to grow from this, willing to transcend the cycle. So you're slowly going through that process where I feel like this part of you is being reinstated, you are reconnecting with that. And I feel too like over time there is a plan that is developing. Like the more you sort of separate those pieces, the more clearly you're thinking, the more easy it is to figure out what the next steps are. And then before you know it, it feels like you're going to be fully disconnected from that and you're going to be starting a new chapter. So this is what you're in the process of doing. It's going to feel most intense, I feel like, in the beginning of this, when the most tethers are connected. As you are disconnecting the tethers, that hold that it has on you become weaker and weaker and weaker, and like your heart and your mind become your own again. That will be the feeling anyway. I mean, they're already your own. This is just something that can really be jamming the signals right now, and so it can be hard to separate. Hard to like hear yourself think over this. I think too, allowing yourself to feel the way that you feel and continue to move through this is really important. Like if this is one of those situations where, like if you're in a place with yourself where if you're not okay with allowing yourself to feel hurt, to feel scared, to feel upset, to feel anxious, this is something that can sort of like reinforce you staying within this position. However, if you're able to support yourself while you're going through a difficult time, this is going to be very, like, you're going to be able to move through this. It's just like, if you can't make the Nine of Swords go away, like if you can't make those feelings and those thoughts go away, are you willing to support yourself, or is this just too much that you would then go backwards to not have to experience this again? And I feel like that's ultimately going to be the deciding factor here with this. Because it feels like having to fully face this in order to move through it, to not be in this cycle anymore. And this is you like digging yourself out of that hole, essentially, that you can feel you've been in. So it takes like the climbing out before you can feel like you're on level ground again. And that takes the effort, that takes energy. And it can be difficult when you feel like you have to use your personal power, your internal fuel to energize you to get up, when you've been using something else to fuel you. So it feels like very, very difficult initially in the beginning. Even though you're capable of this, it can feel really difficult. It can feel strange too, because you can be used to pooling your energy from this external source rather than this internal one. And there can even be a part of you that's still like trying to protect yourself and not fully going into the flow of this experience. Like you can still feel kind of guarded, and maybe even wanting to push away something painful, which feels like needs to be fully embraced in order to work through this process. And even though it feels like knowing sort of where to go and what to do here, it can be difficult to hear the concept of that fully because of how heightened your energy can be right now. It's sort of in reaction. I just get this feeling of you can feel like pretty dysregulated, even, can be the feeling of this. And at the end of the day too, it's your choice what you want to do, what you deem as being appropriate for you. With Temperance there, I'm not seeing there be a, like, you need to complete this within 5 days. This is more so like give yourself time to go through this process. Just give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Be caring, be understanding, be compassionate with yourself as you move through this. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.